Hey, folks, it's episode 3 of our Racer X Films preview of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship for 2014. Jason Weege and Steve Matthes here. I'm not mentioning that we're in the Pulp MX studio. God, I just did it. There are 2 riders in this sport that you care about more than anyone else. You can argue that the media is biased and we give them too much attention.
You can deny it.
You can deny it all you want.
Yeah.
This is the Kardashians of the sport. You want them on the cover of that magazine.
There's a comment section on the bottom of Racer X Online, people.
Yeah.
All we needed to do to get comments, the most comments that day, just put James Stewart in the headline or Chad Reed.
Yep.
That's it. Don't even put a blank story.
You know, last year, folks, on our website, the 4th most popular, most clicked-on story of the year was a press release that said Chad Reed had signed Discount Tire as his title sponsor. That's how much you live and die.
Not retiring.
No.
Not coming back. Not winning.
Yeah.
Not losing. Just got a title.
Anything but Chad Reed in the headline.
Just got a title sponsor.
But we were worried
this
summer. We were worried.
Yeah.
We were afraid we would not get either. Chad Reed obviously goes down with a huge injury at San Diego Supercross, lots of surgery, rotator cuff problems. It almost sounded like an Australian bone, a coracoid or something like that. I don't know what that's, some sort of exotic animal that's in his shoulder.
I have a torn rotator cuff.
And you're able to deal with it quite well. Okay, so maybe Chad will be okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And James Stewart, we thought for sure we had lost in New Jersey, New York metro area a couple of weeks ago with a knee injury. But it looks like we made it. I think they're both going to race. I think they're both going to line up in Glen Helen. The injuries appear to be healing up as scheduled. So we have found a song to celebrate the fact that they will both be with us this summer.
Looks like we made it. We left each other on the way to another love. Looks like we made it, or I thought so till today, until you were there everywhere, and all I could taste was love the way we made it.
Yes, we will have James Stewart and Chad Reed. But what does that mean on the racetrack? Let's first talk about Stu. We touched on this in our previous show about Ryan Dungey. Dungey had Stu covered for the most part last year, give or take a few motos. But Dungey had him covered last summer outdoors.
So, surprisingly how easy Dungey rode away from Stu to me.
It wasn't the Stu that we expected to see. But we saw more of the old James Stewart in Supercross this year than last year. So will we see more of the old James Stewart outdoors this year than last year?
I think so.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure. But I think so. I think the improvement that from James, from Supercross to this year, we'll see that in outdoors. But I'm not 100% sure. It's James Stewart. It is stewable, of course, that James goes out there and lays wood and demolishes the field. It is also possible James Stewart demolishes himself. Misses a couple races.
We've seen it all.
We've seen it all from him. And again, how many times can you talk about James Stewart and just kind of say the same things? He can make this series very, very exciting. Or he could end up going out early. It's really up in the air. One thing I do love about James, though, he loves the outdoors. He does seem to be enjoying himself in his comeback to the Nationals.
Yeah, he has had fun the last couple of years being out there.
Win or lose, he's been talking to fans. He's been hanging out. And, for a guy who said, or who many thought did not like the Motocross Nationals, surprisingly, he only has 3 national titles to his credit. Doesn't it seem like he should have more?
I mean, everyone thought it was coming, and I think if you look back at the dominance he's had through the years, it's surprising here. Only 3, but that is the issue. That is the issue. He's always been a great rider, but can he put it together, especially when you're going up against a machine like Dungey, who will probably not give you any room for error?
I don't think when you're talking to James Stewart, I don't think that you could put money on that he is going to go 24 motos this year without a problem.
It's tough.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see some thrills, some spills, some chills from James Stewart this summer. Maybe all of them in the same day.
Yeah. And the thing about Stu, I want to give him credit. It's not all on the win or crash thing anymore. He's seeming, you said he's been different this year. I think he has learned to take second or third or fourth place finishes when they're there. But he has really been struck by some bizarre luck, weirdo bike problems, 1 in a million things that don't seem to happen to everyone else. And that only multiplies when you go 24 motos, 35 minutes. This is going to be difficult for him to avoid all that weirdo bad luck he's had over the last year or two, the entire summer.
You want to talk about bad, though?
Yeah.
Chad Reed's summer.
last year.
You want to talk about bad.
Was that even Chad Reed's summer? That wasn't Chad Reed as far as we know.
I think it might have been our friend Jason Thomas.
On the bike.
That was bizarre.
Little tall.
Not happy with the Honda. Fighting his setup. Although
had an illness.
I am not going to credit or discredit the Honda as being the problems. There was more going on than that. There's no doubt. But it was amazing to see Chad Reed out there literally battling with guys for 16th, 15th in a battle. And you're just going, what is going on here? He has to be better. I think he's going to come in behind the 8 ball a little bit, this shoulder thing. He's just started riding right now, and it's going to be tough for him to be 100% for Glen Helen. But it's Chad Reed.
That's the X factor.
Yeah.
It's Chad Reed.
Yeah.
This is Chad Reed's track record, actually, for coming in behind the 8 ball. When he won this title in 2009, 8 days before the opener at Glen Helen, he didn't even know if he was going to race. He had a Supercross-only contract.
Yep.
It took a little while to get up to speed. He was 4th, 5th, a couple of races early on, but then he had the mojo working. It's a very long summer. We've seen this before. I know this. When Chad Reed has been on his game, he and Dungey have been so close on speed to the point we made the joke that he needed to get the High Ryan butt patch on the back of his pants because Dungey, back in 2011, for example, was right behind him but couldn't get around him so often.
Yep.
So if Chad Reed is the good Chad Reed, not the bad Chad Reed, he's shown that he can mix it up with any one of these guys. But as always, it's going to come down to going the distance. So here's where we're going to pose the question to our friend Jason Thomas. We know what Stu and Reed were able to do in Supercross. It was awesome. It was exciting. It was a revelation. Everyone was pumped to see the old guard still winning races just like they did in their heyday. They've got a lot of mileage on them, a lot of injuries. Stu with the knee just a couple weeks ago, Reed with the shoulder, and all the other things they've had throughout their career. Does the age and the wear and tear and the mileage and all that, I know Stu's not old in years, but he's got a lot more mileage on him. He was racing this class before Dungey and Villopoto were even pro. Does that mean more in the rough, gnarly, physical game of outdoors than the game of Supercross where you can be smart and calculated and pick your spots and hit your marks? Let's ask our man JT what he thinks about that.
So Stewart and Reed, these guys are legends for a reason. To doubt them, I think, is a little bit foolhardy. I think a lot of people did that coming into this Supercross season, and they obviously proved that they can go out there and still win. So the outdoors are going to be tough. Youth comes a long way in the outdoor season. We've already gone through 17 rounds of Supercross, and now to add 3 or 4 months of outdoors to it when everybody's already pretty beat down, the outdoors are going to be rough. I really do think they're going to be fine, though. They've been through this so many times. They know what it takes. They know the preparation you have to do. And honestly, their bodies they built up a tolerance to this kind of abuse. So I don't expect them to falter. I know a lot of people may think they will and think that Roxon and Tomac will have the edge with the youth on their side, but I just don't see it happening. To win the championship is kind of anybody's guess, but I fully expect, Reed when he gets to 100% and Stewart coming in healthy, I see him right at the front right away.
All right, I'll pose that to you yourself, Matthes. What do you think? We saw what they could do in Supercross. They were as good as they've ever been. But is it different outdoors to expect that? It's gnarly. It's rough. You can't outsmart the competition or outthink the competition as much as you just need to out-hang out the competition, which is tough to do.
Yeah, it is. It's a different deal outdoors.
Yeah.
It really is. We've seen great comebacks from both those guys in Supercross. But outdoors is where we see what's been going on, good or bad, with your training program, with your bikes, with your team, everything else. No matter what, you'll be watching Stewart and Reed, and you'll be commenting on Stewart and Reed.
Yeah, it's not us, folks. We just try to get as many hits as possible, and that's why we made sure we put a whole video together with those two. I bet you this is the most popular one of all. We'll see you next time.